Hey everyone, James here from Virtuoso. Now I'm going to talk to you today about a new feature we have, which is how to select test data when you are authoring your tests. Now before we get into that, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. We're always putting up new videos when we're releasing new features, so do subscribe so you get notified of those new videos. Okay, so let's talk about test data. So you know that you can write tests in natural language in Virtuoso, and you can also separate out your tests from test data using variables, whether for environment variables, or in this case, I'm creating a customer and I can put variables in for the various pieces of data I want to map in this case, to fill in a form. Now that data could come from a test data table, which I could upload with a CSV file, or I could generate with AI, for example. And you can see here in this example, I've got 5 rows of data with different variables, so different parameters. And by default, previously, Virtuoso always used the first row of data. But what happens if you wanted to run, let's say, with row number 4? How would you do that? So if you come back to the test here, what we can do now, assuming that you've gone through and mapped your test data, so pick your table and then map the variables into your test, you can now click on the More icon, click on Live Authoring Settings, and if we go Choose Data Row, I can now say I want to use row number 4 and apply that. So now when I run my test, it's going to pick up exactly that, row number 4 from the test data table, meaning if you've got different scenarios or you're testing different products, let's say this is an insurance portal, so the different scenarios could have different insurance products. Maybe some of your test data rows have negative tests in them, and you want to be able to make sure your tests, when you're authoring it, runs with those. So in this case, we're using, as you can see, the street address, which is I4 Road, and that maps in, and that's coming from the 4th row of data because that's what we specified. So this new feature just means that you can now choose which row of data you want to use when you author your tests, which also, as you've always been able to do, then when you execute them, you can also use the test data and choose which rows you want to use. So it's an additional capability to author tests with different test data.